All right, guys, welcome back to Radio Free Gaia. We are joined here in media res, as it were. All right, guys, welcome back to Radio Free Gaia. We are joined here in media res. There we go. All right.
Nice.
So we're joined in
June.
media res, take two, with two members of the Alpha Sigma Sigma pack. Alpha Sigma Sigma is a. I'll go with infamous. I'll go with infamous. What would you have your bio here? Slayers of, I can't say that word, but yeah. So they are a pack of Farah who are understandably very excited about the recent council vote on Farah, and so we wanted to start the show by interviewing them and seeing if they had any thoughts they wanted to share with the rest of us about, well, where we are and how we got here.
I would say they were infamous for a lot of things, but yeah, let's hear about your thoughts on the votes.
Okay, well, I just to introduce myself, I'm El Presidente, Coyote Ugly, president of Alpha Sigma Sigma. And also, I'm here with my social chair, Colton, the Urge. How do we feel? It's great. It's great that we finally are getting the recognition within the nation that we so deserve. We had to put so many hours, so many pumps into the, and we got there. We finally made it. Step one.
Well, you know what? That's what it's about, right? That's what working for Gaia is all about. You want to work hard, you want to work long, you want to go at it as long as you have to, and then eventually you score. And we scored.
Just as a reminder, Radio Free Guy is a PG-13 show, so if you have anything that is overtly colorful,
We are?
we probably should be.
No.
All right, go wild. You heard the lady.
Express
We-
yourself.
We are consummate gentlemen and very, very tasteful. At
But
least
I'm
that's what I'm
not.
going to say.
Yeah, I guess that was more for Maya than anything else. So, take a second, guys, and walk us through how will this change affect your specific sept? You know, anybody who you think is going to be able to serve the nation better because of this? Any challenges that you're going to have because of this? Walk us through what this is going to look like for you guys in your local sept.
Okay, Colton, you wanna take this as social chair?
Sure, yeah, of course. So obviously, Alpha Sigma Sigma is in the Sept of Shining Waters, Miami, University of Midnight, University of Miami, and we serve the Sept well and cover all the areas of South Florida. And for the longest time, we have just been loyal servants of Gaia, but we haven't been on the Auspice Council because, for obvious reasons, wouldn't have helped the Sept out. And so I'll get more about my pack later. But I think this really helps out our local sept for the non-Alpha Sigma Sigma fair. And in particular, I want to give a shout out to my bro Gaia, bro Sidon, or as he's known to the nation, Tides. We're a sept surrounded by water on three sides, and arguably four sides if you think about the fact that there is canals and waterways going all throughout the sept. And Tides, Brosidon, can't speak on the Auspice Council. As Master of Rites, he could guide us in all of the mysteries of the water, the spirits, the very nature, and do what needs to be done for a sept. But until now, he's been silenced. He's been unable to provide us the guidance we need. So I think this vote, this step forward for a united Garu and Farah nation, is really going to help people like Brosidon, Tides, step forward and give the specialized knowledge that only someone, a Brokea like him, can give to a sept like ours. And I'm sure there are septs across the nation that have unique areas, unique interests that only the Farah really can understand. And I'm looking forward to them stepping up and providing what counsel they can for the Auspice Council. Go UM!
Okay, Coyote Ugly, anything you want to add to that?
So, I mean, I'm so busy being alpha of the pack that I can't really do SEP council positions, but it's good to know that the rest of my pack can do things like our treasurer, Burp Queen. She can totally rise up and be a fool for for any kind of local sept. Same with Blazes in Summer, It's even nice that our fellow packmate Candy Randy, he's really swole, and he could totally be Wormfo. And it's finally nice that he can actually be recognized for his talents. But that's what I would say.
Not to mention, El Presidente, as champion of the European realm, has to let other Farah step forward so that he can continue to defend his title.
Yes.
What is that a moniker? Champion of the European realm, or what is?
No, well, titles. I won it. I won this belt in the European realm.
Oh, I see.
Of the world of Europe.
The world of Europe.
The world of.
Yep.
He said.
Nice.
He said the world of Europe.
Did you ask Alpha Sigma Sigma if they had anything to say to people who weren't eager to have this passed?
That's a great question, guys. Anything that you would like to say to those who voted against this measure to hopefully reassure them? If you want to say something that's not reassuring, we're not going to tell you what to say, certainly, but
Definitely don't call them out as haters or something.
right.
Right.
Oh, say that. Listen, we're getting to you one at a time. Eventually, we will get through all of you, and eventually, we'll change your minds one way or another.
Absolutely. And let's all remember, it's 2018. What might have worked for you guys a little while ago just doesn't jive now. We are a nation of one, and we need to let all the Farah come in and just help out. You know what? I think the reason that this passed now is simply because Farah are doing these jobs already. They're already contributing to the local SEPs. They're already doing all of these jobs. And the spirits simply recognized, you know what? If these guys are going to put it in and give us the time and work it like that, then they deserve to get a happy ending. And that's what we're all here for, a happy ending.
It's like that that show you were showing me, the game Recognized Game. Is that what your
Granddad.
Is that the premise of your argument?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It was inevitable. Once things started working this way already, it was just a matter of time before the tribal council recognized that this was the most sensible way for it to go.
Well, just as a quick brief note for our fans, the reason we haven't had a show for a while is Maya had a child named Moonbeam.
It's a traditional child of Gaia name, Moonbeam.
I don't really... He doesn't really look like a moonbeam to me, but I'm not a child of Gaia, so I don't want to...
Well, I didn't want to name him Skyline or McDark with leather pants, which is a traditional Shadow Lord name.
Yes.
Right.
The House Leather Pants has a long tradition amongst our people.
Of fostering puppies?
Yes, of fostering puppies.
P.S. Don't think I didn't notice the pop culture reference. Way to go.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you very much. All right, one last question for you guys before we let you get back to whatever it is you guys do when you're not being interviewed by us. I assume defending your title.
Bro, and turning up the sickest parties.
And the sickest parties. So why do you think, well, you mentioned why you think it was passed now, but why do you think that the Koraks were not accepted as full members in the Gaia Nation? The Garu Nation, excuse me.
Why weren't they accepted? I mean, it's baby steps. We got to get there slowly but steady. It's progress. Progress takes time. Listen, now we finally get to be on auspice councils. Give us another 6 months to 8 months. We'll actually get a tribal counselor on. It's just a bit of time.
Hopefully we have the 6 to 8 months to get all those things going forward. I don't know about you, but I'm more concerned about the upcoming the wedding.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's so lit.
Yeah. Trust us. Everyone's gonna get laid at this thing. We are confident.
Are you guys accepting offers for +1s?
Oh yeah. We are as inclusive as you can get. Anybody want to tag along for the frat party or the bachelor party? You give us a call, and we are happy to include you.
Are Koraks accepted as full members of Alpha Sigma Sigma?
Yeah, we have 2 Koraks. Our
Nice.
is Burb Queen, and our social chair is Blazes in Summer.
Yep.
There we go.
We believe that Burbs are one of the foundations of the nation. Their information network is the sole reason we stay ahead of 90% of the problems going on. Frankly, I wanted to see them join the council. I think that this age of apocalypse, the councilors need to recognize that the burbs are going to be the bridge. We're going to have that nice wing stretching out over both the wolves and the Pharaoh to the Corax. But you know what?
Nice
you can talk a big game, but when it comes time to deliver, sometimes you need a practice run. But that's okay. No false start is a bad start. So we believe in you, tribal counselors. 6 months from now, let's make the Corax full counselor members.
Right on.
Okay, well, thank you guys for joining us on Radio Free Gaia. We appreciate you taking some time out of your busy party days, and in fairness, defending your sept, I assume that's also, you guys just don't bring that up as often. But it's thank you for taking the time.
And throwing raging parties.
Actually, I have a question for you guys before you go. Is it true that the father of Maya's child is actually met at the party, or is that just a rumor?
There's a lot of rumors.
I'm going to let Coyote Ugly field this as our resident father.
Wow.
You know what?
No comment at this time.
Legit.
I see.
See?
Well, more on that story as it develops.
Nobody knows who the dad is.
More on that story as it develops. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. If you could drop off, we have our next guest joining us shortly.
No problem.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Have a great night, and stay safe. Zip it up.
Yeah.
Stay frosty.
See you at midnight.
Peace.
All right, who do we have next?
All right. Next up on Radio Free Gaia, we have Grip, the sept leader for the Cleveland Sept. He is an Athro Bonar Theurge Hamid.
Nice. That's your people. I mean,
Theurge.
Theurges.
Right. Well,
You've got the urge.
Colton, I do have I don't have Colton's urge, but the urge is had all the same. So let's get back to it. Grip, thank you so much for joining us. Apologies for the delays. Thank you for making the time to talk to us tonight. How you doing?
Hey, hi. Thanks for having me, Radio Free Gaia.
Great. Can you maybe step a little closer to your mic? I think we're a little. There we go. Extreme close up for Grip, but all the same. Thank you very much. So Grip, you reached out to us. You wanted to talk about what this passing meant for your sept, and how this change, this inclusive change, helps your sept. Can you just give us a little more specific, on the ground information, how it's going to help you, and how it's going to help your sept, and how it's going to help the Gyro Nation?
Yeah, the vote went pretty much the way I thought it would go. We've got a lot of opinions running across the nation, and that's an advantage as much as it is a drawback when it comes to having a group consensus. It mirrors what's going on over at my sept because we're pretty much split right down the middle from the Concordia versus the Sanctum of Gaia. So we've got Pharaoh working alongside of some of the other high tribes, so to speak, and a lot of differences of opinions there. Getting everybody on board with the idea of having the Pharaoh take ranks, but not so much the idea of the Corax was what I expected. I feel like the passing year, having a chance for everybody to step up and show what we're capable of when we all work together, was really that thing that made the swing vote.
What do you anticipate, since you expected all of these outcomes, what do you anticipate upcoming resolutions to be about?
So, at least as far as my sept's concerned, we're getting ready to be planning our currency, Gaia willing, in the next 2 months, and getting as many feet in the door as possible is going to be a major factor there. Having representation from the Pharaoh, I think will go a long way towards getting more folk to come out and help assist us with that venture, as well as the day-to-day operations of pushing back the worm in the city. We are very small as far as our sept is concerned and our protectorate. We can't hold the city on our own, and a lot of the folk that may be hiding, doing the day-to-day survival on their own, may be more incentivized to step out and assist with the sept if they know that they're going to be well represented by their own.
Right on. Do you have any thoughts?
So, anybody in particular you think has been really working hard at this? Anyone you think is a good example that you want to make sure gets a little more recognition? I mean, we're not Galliard, so we can't give any real recognition, but just anyone you think deserves a little bit of a shout out on the show.
Oh yeah, shout out to Steals from the Table, Ratkin, who works over at my sept. Excellent scout. Gives a run for the money for the local Ragabash here. He can get in and out like anywhere, and he's pulled a ton of info that we wouldn't be able to get on our own. So he's definitely been an invaluable resource.
I'm sorry. Do you have a name for the ratkin so we can give him a full shout out?
Yeah, Steals from the Table is the name that he goes by.
Nice.
Steals from the Table.
Steals from the Table. Way to go.
Steals from the Table. Great work. So a couple other questions for you. So why do you think now? Why do you think it happened now? Why do you think it didn't pass before? And actually, let's start with there. We'll go to the next questions afterwards.
Sure. Why do I think now? I think now because the last time around it went, there wasn't really the evidence to back up that people were really needed in those positions who necessarily couldn't benefit from the authority that came with it. But we've had a year to show how much the Nathan's really hurting in positions of leadership in some of these small pocket areas that don't have the full membership to have all the special ranks and all the other positions that are needed. Now that we've shown how much we're hurting without it, my hope is that this vote will demonstrate that we'll be able to function more smoothly as a nation on the whole and on a cellular level by having everybody around doing the things that they can do regardless of nature of their birth.
Right on.
And what do you think is next? What do you think that the people who oppose this, do you have anything you want to say to the people who maybe are discouraged by this? I don't want to speak on behalf of other people, but I know that some people have said that this erodes the traditions of the Garu Nation. What do you have to say to them? Any sort of ways that they can move forward, or anything that you might think that might assuage them?
Oof, yeah. Hundreds, thousands, millennia of years of tradition within our nation of just being the guru, and this change is definitely something that stands posed to seemingly overwrite some of those traditions, so I can definitely see the fear and the concern there. The thing that I'd remind people of is we're creatures of instinct, and adaptation is a big part of our survival. I don't want to see this as the closeout of a chapter, but the transition into a new shade of what we need to become in order to save the Earth Mother.
I've always wondered about this, and this might be a little more philosophical than you were really expecting, but we never know exactly what she meant. We always do our best to interpret it. We have an entire litany of people whose job it is to interpret it, but we don't have any solid answers. And I always wonder, every time I've ever heard someone say they know exactly what the litany means and what it stands for, it always feels like they're pushing something out. Well, yes, it always feels like it always feels like they're a philodox. But also, it always feels like they're pushing some other agenda forward that I never really.
100%. But in a society where people have different points of view and come from different cultures, everyone's got an agenda. I mean, that's the whole basis of the Sanctum versus the Concordat, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's as good a way to put it as any. Well, Grip, thank you so much for your time. Do you have any other questions or anything for us before you head off?
I'll tell you, I'll talk philosophy till I'm blue in the face, and a lot of the people around my neck of the woods hate it. I ask people all the time, what's the nature of reality? Can you prove you're real? At the end of the day, truth's absolute, but it's really hard to pin it down. Outside your own perceptions, it's hard to really say what's real and what isn't. So sometimes it just comes down to a nature of trust. Whether or not the evidence that's being put in front of you or the words that are being spoken within your soul resonate as something that needs to be chased after.
You did it, okay?
Okay.
All right. Well, Grip, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your patience as we dealt with some challenges, spiritual and I guess newbornal. So thank you so much for your time. If you don't mind dropping our next guests. So full disclosure, I sort of surprised our next two guests. We have with us Baihu from the Sept of the Fallen Green, and we also have Spectre, who roams wherever he may. Now, I understand Spectre might be in the middle of some sort of clandestine operation, so we may lose him briefly. So if that's the case, Baihu, I'm going to ask you to just sort of talk more on his behalf. I hope you're okay with just sort of pontificating more about this subject if we need you to. Is that...
Baihu, are you okay with pontificating on our behalf?
I think pontificating is probably the thing that I love the most.
All right. Well, just as a quick, for instance, just say fully who you are, your rank, your deed name, all that stuff. I know we mentioned it briefly, and then Spectre, you're next.
I am By Who, the painkiller, the death cure. He who has known age, nine-tailed Athro of the House of 10,000 Contented Sighs. I'm Kitsune Katarib, that's a Galliard. Shinjin, which is a breed that you are probably unfamiliar with.
Yes, I am. Spectre asked me to note that he's not being clandestine, but he's staying in a kinfolk home with a number of small children, and they're as loud as small children always are. Speaking of small children, Maya's just needed a little break. He's going to take a little too much time on the tapestry. I think he might need a little bit of milk, and he'll be okay in a second. Spectre, do you want to? Well, Spectre, since you can't really talk right now,
Let's see. Is my voice coming through?
Yep, it's going through. Go ahead.
Background noises, not too distracting?
Not too bad.
Excellent, excellent. And you all may speak freely. This is a kinfolk house. It is safe.
Okay, great.
It just comes with the expected noise level. I am Spectre. I am a kinfolk of the Nuisha, a child of two Nuisha, both of whom are deceased. I have no other titles and nothing else to brag of.
Okay. Well, you've developed a little bit of a name for yourself the last few months, while not bragging. But let's go back to Baihu for a second. Baihu, can you take a minute and talk about what this change is going to mean for you in your local sept? Now, in disclosure, Baihu, Maya, and I are all in the same pack and in the same sept. So I know the answer to this, but I kind of want him to talk about it because he's much more talkative than I am.
Thank you. I am privileged and honored beyond all reasonable expectation of the outcome of this vote. The overwhelming support of the Garu is deeply gratifying, and I want to take this time to thank you all who supported us. In our local sept, I'm blessed in having one of the most supportive septs. Sept of the Fallen Green was one of the first septs in the nation to vote to allow Farah on their auspice council. There are several other sept laws that are designed to foster equality between Farah and Garu, and I'm lucky to know you and be a part of your sept. In our sept, we are fairly lucky. We have ranking Garu. However, for example, our fool is an elder, and his wisdom is valuable, his time is valuable, and there are several Koraks in our sept who may be able to free him to more fully embrace the duties required of an elder. And I think that's going to be to the benefit of the sept. Should our sept pool decide to make way for one of the Farah who are qualified for the position now. We also have, we're lucky enough to have several active Farah. I don't want to pat myself on the back too hard, but I personally underwrite the funding of a large portion of the sept's bills. And, we have have been given the honor of putting several Garu cubs through the rite of passage. They entrust their children, their young and an experience to us, and I think that's again humbling and flattering. One of the challenges I think that we'll have to embrace in the future is that there are probably still Garu in the Sept who may not fully accept the changes. I have heard that the Master of Challenge may not approve certain challenges as they're not appropriate. He doesn't, for example, believe that Kinfolk, Kitsune, for example, would be an appropriate tail singer because no one can understand the history and songs of the Garu as well as a Garu can. So I think we still have challenges. We still have places to go, but I think that it's an excellent first step, and I can tell that I think it's safe to say that great organizations are founded on such great first step.
So for those of you who have been loyal Radio Free Gaia fans for a while now, Maya used to be the Master of Challenges for our Sept, but she was challenged out of it when she was pregnant. So he's not referring to Maya, our co-host. Anything you'd like to say to him here? I mean, that sort of puts you in an awkward spot when you can, you'll see him in a couple weeks if nothing else. But I think that the argument is a good one to have. I think there's going to be a lot of that discussion for the next couple of months as we sort of all get used to this new change, to figure out what it means. And go ahead,
sorry.
Please.
My people are great believers in tradition, and the traditions of the Garu are as ancient as the rest. And the tradition of the Challenge Mound exists for a reason. I would wager my knowledge of Garu society, Garu history, is as great as any member of the Sept, as any Galliard in our Sept.
Before your head swells too large, who is your Master of Challenges?
Used to be me. It used to be me, and now it's
I mentioned that you were challenged out of it because you were pregnant.
Right. It was a Bonar.
He's your former student. He's a Utena.
Utena.
Yeah.
Right.
No, he's a Wendigo, the good doctor.
We remembered that. Totally happened.
I'm not saying that they
live
look
on the air.
the same at all. No.
Nope.
But him and I just met. Unfortunately, I don't know his. I can't remember his name offhand.
We're in so much trouble right now.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm sure I did. But when I meet him, I'll be sure to apologize in person. Regardless, I can sing the silver record with the best of them. It's just going to be a little bit more high pitched than Howley, and yippee than Howley. But this is not calling him out. These traditions exist for a reason, and the Challenge Mound exists for a reason.
Bayou, I will go ahead and say that I think you're probably one of the best Galliards in the Sept, or that I've ever met. So, you also happen to be very, very experienced.
I have, one of the advantages of being who we are is that I have as much time. I've had as much or more time to learn Garu history than any Garu. I've been in the nation since 2009, since it is as early as possible for it to be. So it's not. I know all the stories. And the tradition of the Challenge Mound is important, and I'm looking forward to a vigorous exploration of this. And one of the best things about this, and I'm going to say this very personally to everybody who's watching, we have been waiting for this opportunity. We've been waiting for you to trust us, and we hope to fulfill that trust. This is something we've wanted for a long time, and we are going to do our very best to prove your trust in us. And thank you for the support and bringing us into your families and helping us to rebuild our society, because that's the other side of this. This is an excellent first step towards the Garu doing a great work in helping us to reestablish our societies, because without your help that can't be done in a reasonable amount of time. So my gratitude comes from that place. We are helping you, but you are helping us far more. And thank you.
I think I'm all choked up now.
He's all choked up.
That's one of us is choked up.
The two of you are choked up?
You know, I think it'll be bad if he's choked up. I'd be like a bad mom.
Right, he's not actually choked up. Just to be very clear, he's not actually choked up. He's just
wheezing a little.
He's breathless with anticipation for what comes next.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
especially for after this vote, and what's going to happen with the new society that we're going to be building moving forward.
And so, I guess the question I have for both of you, why do you think that it happened now? And why do you think that the Koraks were not given a seat on the council?
Ooh.
Spectre, you want to go ahead? You look like...
He looks the one most likely to cast some shade. And I'm not talking about the ambient sunlight.
Perhaps. There is, imagine a coin flipping. And on the one side of that coin is the positive contributions that the Farah have demonstrated over the past year or so. Yes? I'm sure we can all name worthy Farah contributors to the nation. In my own sept, for a time where I stayed, the Sept of the Reach, we had a Rokea who would have been more than capable of filling the empty wormfoe position. We had an empty fool slot with Korax and Nuisha to spare. Most of whom proved themselves worthy of the position. So that's one side of the coin, and it's the one that's been cited several times already. The other side is desperation. In addition to seeing the contributions of the Farah, over the last year, everyone's had a chance to see what life looks like without them, and without the numbers that the Guru are accustomed to. We've had a year to process the fact those numbers are not swelling anytime soon, and we have to make the best of what we have.
Oh, don't be upset, Moonbeam. It'll get better.
Moonbeam is a little upset about the fact that we're not going to be able to swell our numbers anytime soon. But Baihu, do you have anything you want to add to that? Anything you want to bring up that Spectre didn't? You're on mute. Baihu, you're on mute. Baihu, you are on mute. I'm sure many people in their lives have wished they could mute Baihu, but now, okay, here we go. There you go. You're all set now.
All right, back. Thank you. So yes, the thing about the Koraks is that the contributions of the Sanctum of Gaia are 100% responsible for the society that we have right now. They're 100% responsible. The preservation of the ancient ways are 100% responsible for why they're still a Garu nation. And if they had not preserved these ancient ways, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So hand in hand with the preservation of the old ways is can be some reluctance to embrace new ways. That's not a criticism; it's a strength. Having a bastion of a storehouse of this ancient knowledge and a willingness to do anything to preserve it has been of inestimable benefit to us all. So when I see Garu who are reluctant to embrace something new, such as something as revolutionary as Korax as the 14th tribe, There's not any blame, there's not any censure. That is an honorable occupation. They honorably resist this change in ways that have, that they have learned is preserves the Gaian nation and the Garu. So that's my thought on the Korak situation. For us, I think that it's always been, for the rest of the Pharaoh, for the Pharaoh and the Auspice Council, it's always been our goal to fill in the holes, to embrace something new, because that's the other half of the Garu, the other half of the strength of the Garu and the Concord of the Stars, is the embrace of the new, the embrace of change. The wild is about change. And when you embrace change, you embrace the wild. And that's, the other half of the dichotomy, which I think has been of inestimable value in also getting us to where we are today, which is a stronger, more united nation.
Okay. All right. Baihu, Spectre, thank you for your time. Congratulations. I know you've both worked very hard on this for a long time, and I'm glad that you both survived to see the fruits of your labors in this regard. Baihu, I know you tried very hard several times to not survive to this point, so thank you for managing despite your best efforts.
I nearly got pistol whipped for it recently.
Well, I'm glad you did not. Wait, did you nearly get pistol? You know what? We'll talk about it another day. Thank you guys both so much for your time.
Thank you, Delta, and thank you, Maya.
I will pass along that back to Maya as soon as she's done with Moonbeam. Okay, so our last guest this evening. Actually, Baihu, do you mind dropping off the? Thank you. All right, our last guest this evening needs no introduction, but I will introduce him anyway. He is the Arbrai. He is the tribal counselor for the Fianna and the sept leader of Silver Tara itself. Bron, thank you so much for your patience and your time. Thanks for joining us. Are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, I hope you didn't have too much time to wait.
No, it's good. I got to listen to some interesting characters. Yeah. Wow.
I'm glad to hear it. So, anything you can tell us beyond what was already sent out to everybody about, what you think this means, or?
I don't know. Lot already been said. We're hurting. We're hurting all over. We're trying to stop the bleeding, and that's the goal here. My hope is, having seen some of the communication going back and forth, that folks won't take this as an opportunity to upend the Garu Nation or try to do some crazy stuff. Just, this is about making sure we have a functional society in places where there's not enough of us left. That was the intent. That's why I supported this measure, and that's why this measure is in place. So I'd mostly worry about people trying to take advantage of it, which I think we saw in the first few minutes after the vote passed.
Yeah.
I hear from some of my contacts. So not quite sure about that. Honestly, I've been a little busy with the wedding, but we're nearly there. The first spire is looking great. I just came back from there a few hours ago. We got the final version of the ward hammered in. That's been the last few weeks. But I think this is good for us. If we can put this issue to rest and move forward, I think that last sentence is the most important thing. Is let's move forward. We're done with this discussion. Let's move on.
Fair enough. What do you think changed? What do you think? Why do you think it passed now and not before?
Well, in many ways, this measure is a lot weaker than the previous one. Mm-hmm. It's a lower threshold. It's focused very precisely on septs that have a need and can't function right now. It's not about And I God knows I love the Farah. They're all freaking awesome. But it's not about Farah taking over the Garo Nation. It's about the Garo Nation surviving, and our friends, allies, and neighbors in the Farah helping us with that. And as long as we can work together and stop everything from dying, I think this would be good. In fact, I hope this can lead us to, once again, focus a little more on stopping everything from dying.
Yeah, I think that, it's easy to lose sight of the big picture. I know that you and the council have been instrumental in keeping us focused on the big picture, despite not always seeing the big picture ourselves personally. So, thank you for that. One last question before I get to the wedding. Why do you think the? Can you talk a little about the Korax vote? There were some questions about how it got on the docket, and I don't know if you can talk about that. I don't want to put you in an awkward spot, but why do you think that didn't pass, whereas the FERA measure did pass?
Well, the whole idea with whoa, heard my own voice for a second there. Okay, wait. Okay, yeah, I'm echoing, but that's fine. I'm a skilled performer. I can get through it. No, the thing about the Korax vote is it was something that was added pretty much last minute after some discussions with legends and other elders of the nation. And it was thought that it might be appropriate to make that offer and see where it leads us. Honestly, the Korax have been by the side of the Garo Nation since before there was a Garo Nation. Before there were tribes, the Korax have had our back. And I think that's what led us to the point where we wanted to consider it. And I think it was also taking the temperature of the room to see what tribes would support it, what tribes still have a problem with it, so we can assess other measures going forward. So I don't think any of us, without a high king, I don't think that measure was ever going to pass. But I think it was important to see where we were on that. And I think now we are. Majority of the tribes support this. So I think going forward, that's going to be something we need to keep in the back of our heads.
Okay, that's really helpful. Let's switch gears and talk about the wedding for a minute while you're talking about moving forward. I know you've said a lot about the wedding, and I'm sure you'll be asked more about this again. But if you don't mind indulging me, how do you think this wedding is going to help us move forward as a nation? I know that's always been your goal for as long as I've known you. You've always wanted to move forward, and that's...
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. Honestly, while it is important whenever the nation comes together, and many of us are in the same place, and we're networking and associating, the biggest thing is cementing the Parliament of Dreams as a firm ally of the Garo Nation. Once we have this in place, we're going to be effectively doubling our numbers once again for the effective fighting force for Gaia. That's going to have a multiplicative effect on what we can accomplish and what goals we can attack. There are some things that we just can't do right now. Mm-hmm. But if we can firmly get the Fae on our side once and for all, settle all the old disputes, cheerfully crawl on my belly if I have to. We're going to get this done, and it's going to give us what we need to not just survive, but really start thinking about winning this war.
It's funny. That's not something I've heard before. I don't think that. I can't remember the last time anyone really talked about actually winning the war, as opposed to surviving. That's.
I think we've been through hell the last 15 years, but I think we're on the threshold of finally turning the corner into a place where we can think about really turning the fight back on the worm, and this needs to work for that to happen. My pride isn't relevant. It's what needs to happen for the survival of the Garo Nation and the world. Probably more importantly, the world, but my opinion differs on that day to day.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We've all sacrificed, and thank you for the sacrifices you have made and will continue to make. We have a couple questions for you from some of our listeners. Obviously, feel free to disregard these if you see fit. The first one is: do you? I'm going to rephrase this question to make it more productive. Is there anything that we, as members of the Gaia Nation, can help you in regards to the wedding? There was a rumor that you might owe some money for something that didn't get spoken of, and if there's anything that we can do as members of the nation to help solidify this incredibly important alliance to have a chance to actually win this war, what can we do as individuals, as seps? What can we do?
Well, the big thing is to continue at the sept level, continue working peacefully and in concordance with our Fey allies. In many places, they've come forward willing to help, and we need to honor that. And if they need help, we need to help them back. So night to night, day to day, we've got to increase trust and relationships if we're going to have a fighting force that can work together. Now, that's about the alliance. About the wedding, first of all, I don't know who started something about money. I'm fine for money. We're good, especially since this is taking place about I guess miles don't really matter, but it's taking place pretty far into the Umbra. So we don't really need to worry about catering so much on that. But the big thing for those who are choosing to attend is just being on your best behavior, creating relationships with the Fae, showing them that all the tribes, not just the Fianna, are serious about this, and generally not being fuck-ups. You guys, can I swear? Is that okay?
I'm sorry. Who's going to yell at you?
Okay, fine. But just don't be like the way you guys always are. Be better.
So your advice is to not be ourselves, just to be the better versions of ourselves.
Yeah, embrace the better angels of your nature. So don't eat any of the other guests. Things like that. Probably would be good. Those Alpha Sigma guys, wow. Wow. They are something.
They are something. Yes.
Okay, yes, absolutely. One thing I can confirm is now that we've got the ward firmly in place, I've got some good news on this. Working with our Theurges, working with the Fae, we've set up a very powerful temporary ward over the wedding that should stop anything George R.R. Martini from going on. We should be good in that respect. I think we can all trust each other, and that trust is going to be reinforced with the ward. That should affect everybody except the two hosts, as vouchsafes everyone's good behavior. So it's going to be perfectly safe. Just please come, dress well, and don't make an ass of yourself.
Right, remember, better angels. Be the best version. Hey, Gaia Nation, I'm talking to you. Be the best version of yourselves, all right? Don't mess up someone else's couch. Okay, a couple other questions for you. Are the seal, I am probably pronouncing this wrong, Seal E, part of the parliament? Am I saying that right?
The Sealy.
The Sealy. Are the Sealy part of the parliament?
Basically, make this really simple for you. There are basically two camps of Fae, the Sealy and the Unsealy. Now, you can look that up on Wikipedia. It's a pretty well-known human term. But basically, the Sealy Fae are all about order, tradition, nobility, whereas the Unsealy are more about chaos, energy, really embracing their wild nature. Neither of them is good, neither of them is evil. They don't really work on that axis. But they're all part of the alliance that represents the Fae.
And then there's a sort of a follow-up question to that. Do you anticipate any trouble from the ... third court? I don't really know whether there was a third court.
I don't know what they mean by that.
Oh, okay, great. I will...
One other bit of good news I can share is I'm told that a contingent of Boggans has been introducing themselves at SEPs around the nation, installing temporary gateways. If you choose to let them install those, that's going to make it a lot easier for folks like your kinfolk to get to the wedding. So I would go ahead and let them do that. If any kinfolk need help getting to the wedding, we have Fae escorts that will be happy to bring them there. And as for Geru and Farah, if you can take those gateways too. If you don't feel like taking the long road, that many hardships, you can just teleport right there. So that should be fine. Again, totally safe.
Now, does it work kind of like a moon bridge?
It's a fairy. It involves glamour and the power of dreams. I'm assuming like the Tinkerbell thing, at the end of the play when everyone, really loves Tinkerbell and she comes back to life. It's like that, but with teleporting.
So if you believe in yourself, you can teleport. And you love Tinkerbell.
No, somebody else has to believe in you. But don't worry about it. It's fake shit.
Okay, I'm happy not to worry about it. One more question we have here. This looks more like I'm not sure this is a question, but this is from Revalier. And
Okay.
apologies if I'm pronouncing your name
son.
wrong. What is the Gaia realm without hope? No? So now you may understand why.
Right, yeah, hope's important. It can also be a poison, but everything is good in moderation.
Yeah, also, hope apparently lets you teleport if enough people hope for you.
Well, that and some boggins actually building a gate. You can hope all you want, but if there are no boggins there, you're just going to look like a jackass.
Oh, all right. And then Spectre asked, regarding Gaian on Gaian violence, will there be a rule making formal challenges mandatory? It worked well in the desert a week ago.
We are in the house of our allies, hoping to cement that alliance. Nobody is going to punch anybody.
Right.
I swear to frickin' Christ.
Yeah, so in case that wasn't clear, if there is a reason that you need to have Gaian on Gaian violence, just don't. It's a wedding. Keep it in your pants.
Or step outside. Just walk a discreet different distance away. Tell all the happy dancing fairies to give you some space. You got to work some stuff out. And then work it out. Just please don't be you at the wedding. Be better you.
Best version of yourselves.
Do what you always do.
Best
Please.
version of yourselves. All right.
Yeah.
Best version of yourselves. You're gonna make me start drinking too. All right. I think that is all the time that we have. Any last words you want to say to the nation that you haven't had a chance to say yet?
Stop fucking up.
Okay. Well, on that cheerful note, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to the wedding. I actually have a suit all picked out. I'm sure it'll be wonderful.
I'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Take care. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us this week on Radio Free Gaia. Now that Maya has given birth, we'll try and do these a little more often.
I think this is off.
No, you're still on.
Okay.
Don't say anything.
All right.
Yeah,
Good.
you're still on.
Yeah, he's gone now. Yeah, I know. It's just a load of crap. Oh, yeah, hang on.
You're still here. You're still here. Okay, great. Okay. So, thank you so much for your time. Apparently there's a bachelor party the night before. We'll hopefully have some information about that before the end of the evening. Well, maybe soon. Hopefully not the end of the evening. Who knows when exactly we'll have that. But thank you all for joining us for this installment of Radio Free Gaia. Hope to see you again soon. Maya, you want to sign off with us?
Sure. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope to have better and more interesting news for you soon.
All right. Be safe, everyone. Bye.